Hey guys, this is John from US Dash Camera. Today I got a review on the new Blackvue DR750X-2CH LTE Plus. So that is quite the long name, and this is an upgrade to a previous model, the DR750 2-channel LTE. Now notice there wasn't an X in that name. Last year, Blackvue released their X series, which included the 590X, 750X, and 900X. Those models released last year in the X series included the ability to attach a external 4G LTE module to allow them to connect directly to the cloud without using any sort of Wi-Fi hotspot. Unfortunately, the 590X did not get that feature, but the 750X and 900X did. Now, if you aren't aware, the main difference between this version and the non-LTE versions is those require the external 4G LTE module, which costs $150 extra. This will actually have the LTE functionality built into it, so that is going to require a SIM card, and you're going to insert it similarly to how you would a cell phone. It includes this SIM card tool remover. You insert it just like a cell phone. Then there's a little bit of a setup, but first I want to talk about what I am using. I bought another SIM card and added another data plan to my T-Mobile account. It's $10 a month for a 2 GB plan. I think that's perfect for this because I don't want to spend more than $10 a month on it. Now, Blackvue did send this out to me for review, so I'd like to thank them for sending out a review unit. And if you guys are interested in purchasing this camera or any of the other cameras I talk about in the video, please check down in the description. There are some affiliate links that do help support my channel. And if you use my Blackboxmycar links, you should get an automatic discount. If the discount doesn't work, try using the discount code listed in the description. So in this video, I'm not going to go in depth with the parking mode or the cloud features because I have covered that quite extensively in several of my previous Blackvue reviews. So I'll provide a link to my previous 750 LTE review down in the description where I do go into the cloud features and parking mode. But to touch on it briefly, this camera has the same great automatic buffered parking mode that includes buffered motion detection and impact detection, and also a time-lapse option. So you can capture any sort of hit and run in a parking lot even while your car is off and you're away. And of course, with the cloud features, you can live stream your dash camera to your cell phone. You can save clips to the cloud. You can even set it to automatically save clips to the cloud when it senses an impact. But most importantly to me, during parking mode, it will send your phone a push notification if it senses an impact, and then from there you can view a live stream or view the clip that was saved from that impact. So I really do feel like Blackvue is top of the line when it comes to cloud features, and their parking mode is very high-end also, one of the best in the industry. So check out that review down below if you want to see a little bit more in-depth into the parking mode and cloud features. Now, one of the upgrades of this camera is it's a lot easier to set up the Wi-Fi connection and cloud connections. All you really have to do with this version is try to connect to it in the app for the first time, and it should automatically detect it. Then it'll ask you to wave your hand in front of it, so that way it knows that you're actually with the camera, and then that establishes the connection. So connecting to it is much easier. You don't have to use the really long SSID and password, or you don't have to take a picture of the QR tag, but that option is still there. So if for whatever reason the quick connect doesn't work, you can still do that. Now, the previous generation of cameras, so the previous 750 LTE and all of the first generation X series cameras do have that feature now with a firmware update. You don't have to upgrade just for a little feature like that, but it is nice that they added such a easy quick connect feature. Now, while I have reviewed the previous generation of the LTE 750 model, I have not reviewed the 750X. I have reviewed the 900X and the 900X Plus, so I'm not going to have a comparison between this and the 750X Plus or previous 750X, but from what I have seen, the chipset and everything should be pretty much the same in the 750X Standard Edition to this LTE edition. So from what I'm seeing, the video quality is not really going to be any different. Now, unfortunately, I do not still own the original LTE module, so I don't have a comparison of that directly side by side. If you are looking to see that comparison, check out Vortex Radar here on YouTube. He has a really in-depth comparison between the previous model and this new current one. His direct side-by-side comparisons of the original 750 LTE module and this new model do seem to show there is a noticeable bump in video quality. But since some people have asked about comparing the 750X to the 900X, that is what I was able to do. So in this review, any of my head-to-head comparisons will be against the current generation 900X Plus, in case you're on the fence deciding which model to get. Now looking at the video quality, this camera is 1080p 60 frames per second in the front and 1080p 30 frames per second in the rear. That's the same as the previous generation 750X or original 750 LTE module. So there doesn't seem to be a noticeable improvement in detail with this 1080p resolution, but there definitely seems to be more dynamic range in the video quality. So that means in areas with shadows, you're going to be able to see detail or see clearer into the darker areas better than the previous generation models, and that's what Vortex Radar found. I think most people will be happy with the video quality of this camera. The nighttime is very bright. It seems to be overall a great camera. But I think some people are going to want higher resolution when they see cameras like the Blackvue 4K models, the 900X series, or some of the Viafos with 1440p. What I'm hoping for the next generation of cameras is that if they have another 590 series, that one should be 1080p front and rear, maybe 60 frames in the front for that. But I would like to see this mid-level model to be bumped up to 1440p or 2K resolution, because it's a little strange that this still has 1080p when their cheaper budget model also has 1080p. Now comparing to the DR900X Plus model that I recently reviewed, I think it's very obvious that most of the time the video quality in the 900X is actually better. Now I've seen some people claim the 750X was better, but from my samples and my comparison, I think it's pretty clear that most of the time, especially during the day, you can read license plates better on the 900X with the 4K resolution. So people that aren't satisfied with the 1080p resolution of this camera might want to consider the 900X series, but then they aren't going to have the built-in LTE. They're going to have to use the LTE module if they want to use the cloud features without a Wi-Fi hotspot. But if you're not looking to use the cloud, and you wouldn't likely be looking at this model anyways, if you're looking at the 750X but want a better resolution, then you should consider the 900X. Now there was one instance where the sign did look better on the 750 model, and that was when a sign was passing by really close to my car, and it definitely seemed blurrier with the 900X. But then every other instance I compared, it seemed like 80% of the time the picture quality still looked better with the 900X. So even though you can nitpick and find a few cases here or there where the 750X performed better, it does seem like that you're paying more for the 900X, but you're also getting more. Now that's not to say that you should go out and get the 900X because it's better. You also have to consider the fact that maybe 1080p is still good enough. When you're trying to capture license plates, oftentimes if you can't see it on one, you can't see it on the other. My examples might have been very close up in parking lots, but if the car comes close enough to you in a parking lot, you're going to capture the license plate on both. It's the hit and runs at night where someone might sideswipe you and not stop or slow down at all, where you're not going to capture the license plate on either of them. And that's what people have to realize. When cars are moving faster, it's harder to read license plates, and when it's darker, it's harder to read license plates, to the point that there's always going to be times, even with the highest quality video, you might not be able to read a license plate on any camera. Now, one thing I found strange about this model, compared to the other X models, is it comes with a standard power cord, and it didn't come with a hardwiring kit. All of the other X series dash cameras from Blackvue come with a hardwiring kit to connect straight into your fuse box, and all of the voltage protection and timer functionality is built into those cameras. This model doesn't actually have that. So if you want to use parking mode, you are going to have to buy something like the PowerMagic Pro or a dash camera battery. Now with a PowerMagic Pro, this is going to be the cheapest option at around $20 to $25. I'm not going to get into installation because that's pretty in-depth. I'll provide a link down in the description to the Blackboxmycar installation guide, because that'll help you out if you want to install it yourself. The point of this is to hardwire to your fuse box to power the camera during parking mode. With this you can set different voltage cutoffs or timer cutoffs with these little dip switches on the actual unit. This is going to be the cheapest and easiest way to do it for most people. Now there's going to be several different options for batteries. This is Blackboxmycar's newest dash camera battery. They sent this to me for review. I haven't released a review yet, but Blackvue has one similar to this I did review called the PowerMagic Ultra B124, and then they had a B124X updated model. Now all of these different battery packs for dash cameras are pretty similar. This one is going to have a vehicle input. You can connect straight to the fuse box, or you can connect to a 12 volt cigarette adapter. But it's worth noting, if you charge through the cigarette port, it's going to charge a lot slower than hardwiring to your fuse box. And here you can see a low and high. You'll use high if you're hardwired, or low if you're just using a cigarette port. And then from here you're going to have the output. So the 750's 12 volt socket will plug into this, and once it detects that it hasn't been moving for about 5 minutes, then it switches into parking mode. And that's where you're going to get all of those great cloud features that, for example, alert you if someone hits your car in a parking lot while you're away from it. So guys, overall, I am glad to see Blackvue has upgraded all of their dash cameras with better video quality across their whole lineup. The high dynamic range of this camera definitely seems like a nice improvement, but as I said before, I would like to see 1440p in the next generation 750 model. It'd be nice to have the 590 as a 1080p camera, the 750 as a 1440p camera, and the 900 as a 4K camera. And that would distinguish the bottom two tiers a little bit better, I think. Now if you already have the original one, is it worth upgrading? I'm not quite sure. If it was me, I probably wouldn't. If you had maybe 2 or 3 generation old dash camera, then I would say yeah, it's probably worth upgrading. But if I were using the previous LTE 750 model, I'd probably wait for the next generation one and hope for a higher resolution model. As I said earlier, if you are interested in purchasing this camera or any of the other models I talked about, check down in the description for those affiliate links and a coupon code for Blackboxmycar. Again, I'd like to thank Blackvue for sending this review unit out. If you guys liked this video or if it helped you, I'd really appreciate it if you hit like and subscribe. And of course, comment down below if you have any questions. So as usual, drive safe. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.